Good morning. I'm Joe Fryer on assignment in Washington.
And I'm Savannah Sellers right now on Morning News Now, calling on Congress. President Biden is asking lawmakers to intervene and prevent a nationwide rail strike, something that could cripple the economy just weeks before Christmas. We'll tell you what union leaders are demanding and how Congress is responding. All of this comes as lawmakers return to Capitol Hill from the Thanksgiving break. We'll break down the issues Democrats hope to tackle before Republicans take control of the House in January. High-stakes matchup. Team USA takes on Iran in a winner-take-all match in the World Cup. But the focus is not just on the game. It's also on the controversy off the field, from protests in Iran to Team USA facing a social media backlash. We have the latest on tensions ahead of this afternoon's games, plus a look at the other big matchups today. Show of frustration. Protests in China grow over the country's strict COVID policies. Some are also openly calling for China's president to step down. We'll take you there for the very latest. Also this morning, Travel Tuesday. If you missed out on Cyber Monday, it's not too late to find a good deal. Today, you could book a trip for half the price. We'll show you the best travel deals to take advantage of during today's sale. And you know what? I actually didn't get anything on Cyber Monday, if you can believe that. So maybe I got to check that out.
Yeah, just buy yourself a bunch of trips.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. All right. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Joe. We begin this morning on Capitol Hill and what's shaping up to be a busy day, really likely a busy week for Congress.
Yeah, high on their agenda, new efforts this morning to avoid a potential rail workers strike that could disrupt the holidays and hurt efforts to bring down inflation. President Biden has called on lawmakers to approve a labor deal to avert what he calls a, quote, potentially crippling rail shutdown. A strike could happen as early as December 9th. We start off this morning with NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli. Mike, good morning to you. So here's the backdrop. Workers at two of the nation's biggest rail unions are split over a tentative contract that was agreed to earlier this year. Explain to us how we got here and just how big of a deal this is as we head into the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Congress already has a lot on their to-do list for this lame duck session. The president last night adding an emergency item to the top of that list. Now, a lot of you may remember that in September, we saw the president in the Rose Garden at the White House with representatives from unions and from management hailing a last-minute deal that at the time averted this rail strike. Now, what has happened since then? Well, there are 12 unions that represent the 100,000 workers across the rail industry, and each of those 12 unions had to vote to ratify this deal. 8 of those unions did, including one of the largest, but the largest and 3 others all voted this down, and rather narrowly. The margins were pretty close. And so there was now a cooling off period to allow workers and management to try to get back together on a new deal, but the time is running out. And so this is why the president is calling on Congress to step in. And what we saw here is that this is the potential economic harm to the country is serious. 30% of our cargo is transported over freight rail. So a month-long strike, according to some estimates, would have been a $160 billion hit to our economy. It also would have affected some passenger rail service across the country. And so the president's stepping in here and asking Congress to do the same.
Yeah, so, Mike, why is the president asking Congress to step in now instead of several months ago? I mean, what options are actually on the table for lawmakers to try and get a deal to go through?
Yeah, this really is the sort of last-ditch measure that the president can ask for. And well, Congress really has 2 options. They can, one, sort of extend this cooling-off period, give labor and management more time to get to a deal. But he's really asking them to do the second option, which is to impose that tentative agreement that was reached 2 months ago onto the remaining 4 unions. The president in a statement saying, listen, as a proud pro-labor president, I'm reluctant to override the ratification procedures. But in this case, the economic impact of a shutdown would hurt millions of working people and families. I believe Congress must use its powers to adopt this deal. And really, there was some dissatisfaction among some of those labor unions that did ratify this deal. They saw that there were some major concessions made by freight carriers, including a 24% pay increase. There were some other conditions that they were hoping to get in terms of paid sick leave that were still on the table. But all in all, most of the unions felt that this was a good deal. And so the president is siding with the majority of those unions.
Mike, while we have you, the president's heading to Bay City, Michigan today to visit a new semiconductor manufacturing plant. So why is he going there? What can we expect from the visit?
Yeah, this is an interesting chip, Joe. This is the first real domestic policy-oriented travel from the president since he was out on the campaign trail before the midterms. And I think it really speaks to what are some of the near-term and long-term priorities for this White House. The president is going to be visiting SK Siltron CESS. It's a semiconductor manufacturer. Its products are mainly part of the sort of semiconductor parts in the auto industry. And we know how important the auto industry is for Michigan. The president's going to be touting that Chips and Science Act, which has led this company to announce a $300 million expansion. Now, we also note that Michigan is, as we turn from decision 2022 to decision 2024, one of those battleground states. The president won it by just under 3% of the vote. And so he's making an early investment in that battleground map for 2024.
All right. Mike Memoli. Mike, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And now to Capitol Hill, where lawmakers already have a long to-do list as they return from the Thanksgiving holiday. And while it's a lame duck session, Democrats are trying to get a lot done before Republicans take over the House in January. The party's trying to keep the government funded past December 16th to prevent a shutdown, establish Pentagon funding priorities, pass a bill to prevent stolen elections, wrap up the January 6th committee report, and codify federal protections for same-sex marriage. For more, we're joined by NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, good to have you with us. Obviously, a lot to get to this morning. Let's start with the Republicans. So pushback is growing. It's actually now including from traditional allies of former President Trump, who's launched this comeback bid for the White House in 2024. But this comes on the heels of this dinner a lot of people might have heard about now, this notorious white supremacist Nick Fuentes and the rapper Ye, who's come under fire for anti-Semitic remarks, were with him before Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago. What are we hearing from members of Trump's own party now?
Well, Savannah, we spent a lot of yesterday canvassing all these Senate Republicans, many of whom have been longtime supporters of the former President Donald Trump, to get their take on his decision to have this controversial dinner. And by and large, Republicans were very unhappy that the president made this decision. And here's just a small sampling of about what some of them had to say about the president dining with a white supremacist.
I wouldn't want to have dinner with either one of those guys, or I wouldn't meet with either one of those guys. You make the most of that you want to.
He surely would disavow any of that stuff. Most would. How he took a meeting, I don't know.
There's no room in the Republican Party for white supremacists, anti-Semitism, so it's wrong.
I think it's ridiculous that he had that meeting. Just, it's ridiculous. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Just crazy.
And most of those Republicans supported Donald Trump's last bid for president. One who didn't was, of course, Mitt Romney, the senator from Utah. And he told us yesterday that he feels as though the party has to find a way to get past Donald Trump. He described him as a gargoyle hanging over top the party. And if they don't move on from him, they're going to continue to have to deal with stuff like this. Savannah.
Wow, what a word there. All right, let's move on to the effort to codify same-sex marriage. A procedural motion to move forward with the Respect for Marriage Act passed in the Senate. That was late last night, with this final vote set for later today. Are there any hurdles still left in the way of this passing, or do you think it'll be smooth sailing?
We thought maybe yesterday there might be a hurdle or two. There were a couple of Republicans that were starting to express some concerns about the religious freedom aspects of this bill. It looks as though they've ironed out all those details. There will be a couple of votes on amendments today that could be added to this bill, but eventually it will pass at some point later today. It will then, of course, have to go back to the House before the president signs it into law. But there is optimism that this deal will get done.
And Ryan, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about these leadership elections. So House Democrats are set to hold these, and it's, of course, going to mark a major shift after Speaker Nancy Pelosi, also longtime leader Steny Hoyer, and Jim Clyburn announced plans to step back. What should we expect to see from these elections?
Well, there won't be a lot of drama, Savannah, unlike what we're seeing on the Republican side. Democrats have really settled behind three new leaders: Hakeem Jeffries of New York, Catherine Clark of Massachusetts, and Pete Aguilar of South Carolina. And they're even going to keep Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, who was part of that triumphant of three octogenarian Democratic leaders in their leadership elections. This is expected to be smooth sailing for these three as they kind of take on the mantle of the new generation of Democratic leaders. This is, of course, a closed-door deliberation and vote. It's also private. But at this point, they don't have any other competitors. So it's expected to be a smooth sailing for Democrats. Of course, the challenge will be in the new year once Republicans take the majority. Those tight margins mean that both parties need to keep all of their members in line if they have any hope of advancing their agenda in the coming Congress.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much, covering a lot for us today.
In Arizona this morning, a growing battle over that state's efforts to certify the results of the midterm election. Secretary of State and Governor-elect Katie Hobbs is now suing a Republican-controlled county for refusing to certify its election results. Now, yesterday was the deadline for Arizona's 15 counties to report results from the November 8th election to the Secretary of State's office. But Cochise County was the only one that failed to certify its results. In her complaint, Hobbs said the county's decision to let the deadline for certification pass, quote, disenfranchises tens of thousands of voters.
And now to China, where authorities have started investigations into those protests over the country's strict zero-COVID measures that rocked several cities over the weekend. NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer has the latest.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. China's health officials are promising better COVID rules, and they're also giving the first official acknowledgement of the protests, albeit it was a vague one. At the same time, authorities are cracking down here. All of the streets that had swelled with protests over the weekend now are mostly barricaded and under guard. Police are fanning out and clamping down in several cities, even checking cell phones, looking for photos or messaging apps that could connect people to the demonstrations. There's a lot of talk about it today on social media. People saying they've had to delete photos as well as chat histories in order to avoid being questioned. But what extraordinary scenes through the weekend. People calling for freedom from the COVID controls that have brought cities here to a standstill. Health officials today said a low vaccination rate still poses a major problem, but it's really the lockdowns and the quarantines that have frustrated people most here, and the anger had been building for a while. The world has been watching in fascination because protests here are rare, but there's also some concern that the unrest and perpetual lockdowns could hit the global economy. But the White House today weighing in with a statement saying, we've long said everyone has the right to peacefully protest, adding, this includes the PRC, the People's Republic of China. Joe, Savannah?
All right, Janice, thank you so much.
To the World Cup now, and Team USA's all-or-nothing showdown match against Iran. Both sides are set to lock horns later this afternoon with a place in the next round on the line. But it's the events off the field that are dominating headlines. The USA Soccer Federation angered Iran by briefly posting a picture on social media of Iran's flag without the Islamic Republic emblem, and what they say was a show of support for women protesting there. The U.S. soccer coach apologized for the now-deleted post during a politically charged news conference where both sides said they were focusing on soccer.
We know exactly what Iran's going to bring. Well-coached team, very committed team. And we don't want to make the same mistakes of the past. We want to learn from that and be able to put in a good performance.
Let's enjoy that party. Let's enjoy the show. Let's be sure that when we finish the game, that the Iranian fans, they are proud of us. The U.S. fans, they are proud of us. And football, special football, is proud of us. And let's make tomorrow one more day that football win credibility, win reputation.
Telemundo sports anchor Carlos Eustace is in Doha for us this morning. We're also joined by Sam Stejskal. He is a senior writer for The Athletic. Thank you both for joining us ahead of this big matchup. Carlos, I want to start with you. I mean, politics aside, help us understand what's at stake when the U.S. takes on Iran today. What do both sides need to do here?
How are you, Joe? Yeah, today the U.S. has the opportunity to go to the second round, and it's really important for them since they didn't make it to the FIFA World Cup in 2018, being back in the term after 8 years. And with this really young generation of players that are supposed to be among the best in the world, they have to prove it. In order to prove it, they have to play against the best. And to play against the best, you have to make it to the further rounds. So the U.S. has to win. That's the only result that actually will make them be on the round of 16.
Not even a tie will do it in this situation. So, Sam, I want to bring you in here. I mean, it really was an extraordinary press conference yesterday. The U.S. coach and Captain Tyler Adams were grilled on everything from politics to Black Lives Matter, even how to pronounce Iran correctly. In your mind, is today's game more than just a soccer match?
Certainly. With everything going on in Iran, with the protests there, the crackdown that the government has been issuing against the protesters there, it takes on added significance. We saw that in the press conference yesterday, which was pretty remarkable, honestly. It's one of the more memorable press conferences that I've ever been a part of, certainly. Tyler Adams, the captain, was asked pointedly how he could feel comfortable representing the United States as a Black man when the country has a history of racism and discrimination against Black people. Adams, who it should be mentioned is only 23 and was just made the semi-permanent captain a little more than a week ago, gave a pretty remarkable, composed answer. So that was kind of a highlight or a standout moment of the press conference. And yeah, I think this game will carry a lot of significance for the Iranian people, for the American people, and for the Iranian regime as well, albeit in different ways for all of those groups.
Sam, let's go back in time. The last time these two sides met, it was a World Cup back in 1998. That's their last World Cup matchup. Iran won that one 2-1. That game also had a politically charged buildup. It'll probably be remembered for a moment when the Iranian team presented the U.S. team with flowers before the match. So how important is it going to be for the coaches to try and keep their players focused on the game and try and drown out everything else that's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, obviously, I think it'll be super important for the result for both coaches to be able to do that. I think for the American team, I don't think that'll be too big of an issue. They had an issue, as you mentioned, Joe, over social media with the flag and the deletion of the Islamic Republic emblem. I don't think that'll touch the team too much. And I don't think that this game, although it is a charged up atmosphere, has anywhere near the same environment around it as the 1998 match, which was called the mother of all games when it was being played at the time. So politically, I don't think it's quite as charged as it was in 98. And I think come game time, at least for the American team, the focus will be firmly on the field. For the Iranian team, it's a little bit of a different question. They've reportedly been threatened by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard that their families will be subject to violence and potentially torture if they don't sing the national anthem or if they misbehave in any way politically during this match.
Important to keep all that in mind. Carlos, we're entering the final round of group matches. It's not just the U.S. and Iran playing. What else should we be keeping an eye on when it comes to the World Cup today?
Well, on Group A, it has to be decided who's going to be first and second, which will also determine who's going to be the rivals on the next round. So the Netherlands and Ecuador seem to be the favorites, and we'll see which one of them ends up being top of that group. And then on the USA side, besides the result of the USA and Iran, that will put them on that second place in case the U.S. can make it. You also want to see what England does. England is called to be one of the favorites of this tournament that could probably win the whole thing and bring it home, as they say. And they still need to show what they showed on the first game, beating Iran 6-2. So we'll see what happens with that, too.
All right. Carlos, Sam, thank you both for joining us ahead of the big one later on today. We appreciate it. Turning now to your morning news now weather.
Yeah, that means it's time for Michelle Grossman to join us with the forecast. Hey, Michelle.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And we have a busy day weather-wise on tap. We're watching a cold front that's moving across the country. On the backside, really cold air. We're going to see snow up to a foot in some spots. And then ahead of this, we're looking at really warm, humid air. That's going to spark the chance for severe weather later on today. Let's start with the cold side, though. We're looking at snow falling. Where you see the blue, that is the snow. So portions of the Rockies, the Intermountain West, the Pacific Northwest, into the Central Plains, the Upper Midwest, and also the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes is where we could see up to a foot of snow. So this is a setup, an area of low pressure moving off to the north and east. We have frigid air funneling down from Canada. It's meeting really humid air, warm air from the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to aid some violent storms later on this afternoon into the evening and overnight hours. For the lower Mississippi Valley and then edges of the western Ohio Valley, could see some strong storms as well. Then as we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see this cold front moving off to the east. That's going to bring strong winds, also heavy rain to portions of the east. We're not expecting severe weather, but we could see a strong thunderstorm or two. And then back behind this, we're going to see whipping winds and also some snow near the Great Lakes once again. The cold side, winter alert stretching from the Pacific Northwest into the Intermountain West, the Rockies, the Central Plains, the Midwest, into the Great Lakes. 19 million people are impacted by either a winter weather advisory, a winter storm watch, or a winter storm warning. And here is the highest amount. We're going to see lake effect impact, so that's going to enhance the snowfall totals. That's why you're seeing the heaviest rain right along the Great Lakes, 9 inches, 12 inches. The pinks and purples are the highest amounts. And then this is what we're particularly concerned about. We're looking at a severe weather event. We could see strong tornadoes, long tracking tornadoes, could see a severe weather outbreak in terms of a tornado outbreak. Where you see this red, also the orange, this is the likeliest spot for any strong storms. Again, winds could be gusting up to 75 miles per hour, so that could cause damage on its own. We could see some really big hail up to softball size, baseball size, and also some damaging winds. But the threat does extend up into portions of the Tennessee Valley and also the Ohio Valley. So for the threat of strong storms could happen overnight. That's when it becomes particularly dangerous. Nighttime tornadoes. If you don't have a plan, you want to get your plan in place and really put that in place before you start your day. And then we'll see risk for stronger storms in the southeast as we go throughout tomorrow. Back to you guys.
All right. Busy week. Michelle, thank you so much. Sure. We're back with heightened tensions at the U.S.-Mexico border after a series of clashes between Mexican officials and a growing number of Venezuelan migrants. Hundreds of tent camps were destroyed, leaving the migrants stranded without shelter. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the latest on the violence and the fallout.
A tug of war at the U.S.-Mexico border between Venezuelan migrants and Mexican police. Smoke billowing from encampments as campfires lit to keep warm become a danger. There was a fire, this man says, as officers cleared tents with children inside. A lot of officers were rude to us, he added. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials say encounters with Venezuelan migrants at the border have more than tripled since last year, up 285%, and a more than 6,000% jump since 2020.
How tense are things at the border right now for these Venezuelan migrants that have made this arduous journey to get there?
There isn't always consistent or sufficient support services for them, especially for younger and for families that struggle to find shelter at times.
More than 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country, according to the UN, hoping to escape an oppressive political regime and economic crisis. But a change in U.S. policy restricting the number of asylum claims have left many stranded in Mexico, where they've set up camps. Over the last couple of weeks, clashes intensifying. In October, U.S. border officials say an agent was attacked with a flagpole during a demonstration near El Paso. Pepperball munitions were fired at the crowd, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner, sending migrants running back to Mexico. As for the displacement this weekend, a humanitarian rights official with the Mexican government says the living conditions along the border are now a safety concern. A civil protection ruling behind the efforts to move the migrants, citing the risk of fire to flammable tents, concerns over children drowning in the river, and a risk of hypothermia. Camps were dismantled, mattresses thrown away, and families with children forced to move. But migrants say they're fighting to stay, hoping their visible presence makes more than a statement on both sides of the border.
Nosotros no nos queremos ir, ya que pues nosotros vemos un punto de vista que acá en este muro estamos haciendo un poco de presión a la gente de Estados Unidos para que nos puedan dejar ingresar.
What will determine what happens to these migrants, I think, is in part about policy, but also is in part about perception. And the Mexican government and the Mexico local towns, I think, are going to be big players in how this actually shapes up to be in the next coming months.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report. Now, the Biden administration says it will let 24,000 Venezuelan migrants with sponsors into the U.S. and send the rest back to Mexico. Mexican officials detained more than 16,000 migrants in a 4-day span last week.
The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments today in the first immigration case of the new term. Texas and Louisiana are challenging a policy introduced by the Biden administration. That policy instructs agents to prioritize the arrests of immigrants who threaten national security. This comes just months after the high court temporarily blocked the policy from taking effect. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now with more on this. Julia, good morning. So take us back a little bit here. Why are Texas and Louisiana opposing this policy that was put in place by the Biden administration?
Well, the policy, Joe, is really similar to what we saw under the Obama administration. It essentially directs ICE to go after people who are high threats because there are more than 11 million undocumented migrants, it's estimated, living in the United States. And this is to prioritize their resources, so says the Department of Homeland Security. But these states say that, in fact, what it does is it skirts longstanding immigration law by saying that people can live freely in the United States and not be deported, even if they're living here undocumented and illegally. And so these states are saying that the federal government needs to step up and do its job to enforce that law. But of course, the federal government is saying it is well within their right to allocate those resources and arrest people who they think pose a threat, not people who are living here peacefully.
So this case could change the way immigration laws and guidelines are made in the U.S., specifically who makes them. Explain what's at stake here with this case.
Well, immigration is a federal law. It's not up to states to enforce immigration law. Of course, these states are arguing that the federal government isn't doing its job, but really prioritizing the way immigration resources are used, who gets arrested when, how many planes are deported, back to what nations. That's all been characteristically left up to the federal government. And so it could mean that even a more conservative administration that tries to change those priorities would then have less power to do so. It's always been in the hands of whatever administration is in power, and this could take away some of that power if the Supreme Court does side with the states here and say that it isn't up to the executive branch to decide those priorities.
Yeah, I mean, Julia, the Biden administration has already faced several challenges to its immigration policy since taking office. How has he fared with this more conservative Supreme Court? What could that signal for today's case?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've already seen the Supreme Court say that things like remain in Mexico, which tells migrants they have to wait in Mexico before they get an asylum date, that should stay in place. There's been other times, though, where the Supreme Court has sided with the Biden administration on immigration. It's gone back and forth. We also expect the Supreme Court to be hearing DACA. That would be to allow people who came here as dreamers, children who were brought to the U.S. illegally by their parents. We expect them to strike that down at sometime in the new year. These are all things that are really pending and are really the core of the way this administration and others have implemented immigration policy, but the Supreme Court could be taking that to an end. Essentially, this is reversing long-standing precedent that allows immigration to be in the hands of the federal government and allows states to have more say in terms of who can come into this country, how they're treated, and who gets deported. It's all a really important time to be paying attention to how immigration law is enforced in the United States, even though there's so much attention on the border. These are the decisions that could last a lifetime.
We know you'll be paying attention to today's case. Julia, thank you so much.
And now to an NBC News exclusive. Our chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons, sat down with a group of Russian students to discuss their opposition to President Vladimir Putin and the growing divide as the war in Ukraine approaches the one-year mark. Here's their story.
The Ukraine conflict is tearing at the fabric of Russian society. In Moscow, we sat down with 5 students who didn't want to show their faces so they could speak freely.
I think the majority of my generation wants this to end, and we want to live in peace.
Live in peace?
Yes.
While it's impossible to measure overall support for the conflict, these students say many friends are despondent, families divided.
I'm really sorry for the entire younger generation, because the amount of struggles they have to face will be just incredible. The attitude towards Russians is basically ruined.
You have arguments with people, do you?
Yes, all of the time, especially...
Arguing all the time?
Yes, especially with my family.
With your own family?
Yes, some people from my family also support that war. They think that we, a younger generation who don't understand anything.
Divisions that 9 months after President Putin's invasion are visible even on state TV. Here, a hardline talk show host fights with a lawmaker over whether the Ukraine campaign is justified, unheard of just a few months ago. But President Putin, appearing with bereaved mothers, trying to reassure them their sons did not die in vain. Russia's former deputy foreign minister tells me those around President Putin think there's no turning back now.
As many people in Russia are saying, the defeat of Russia, the defeat of Putin means the crash of the whole system.
The students we spoke to also fear for Russia's future.
If we don't have the internet, we become like North Korea.
Vladimirovich Putin. With protesters purged, they too believe President Putin will begin 2023 with a firm grip on power.
I want you to put up your hand, if you believe anytime soon people will go into the streets in huge numbers to try and change things. It's not going to happen.
That was Keir Simmons reporting, and he says while covering the early days of the war in Ukraine, there was an outpouring of support for the invasion, but now there's growing criticism as the war has gone on for more than 9 months now.
More international headlines this morning. South Korea's president warns North Korea of consequences if Kim Jong-un moves forward with more nuclear tests.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now from Rome with this and more international news. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, in an interview to Reuters on Monday, the president of South Korea said that if North Korea goes ahead with a nuclear test, then the response will be something that hasn't been seen before, without going much into details. Now, he also said that the frequent missile tests by the North has led to an increased defense spending by countries in the region and has called for China to dissuade the North from carrying out a test. And let's stay in South Korea, where a 42-year-old woman was extradited back to New Zealand in connection with the discovery of 2 long-dead children in abandoned suitcases. The bodies of the children, believed to be dead for years, have been found by a family in New Zealand who bought the suitcases at an online auction of abandoned goods. South Korean police have said she could be the mother of the 2 victims. And let's go to Australia, where the Environment Minister said the country is against adding the Great Barrier Reef on a list of UNESCO's endangered World Heritage Sites. It follows a report published on Monday that warns that the world's largest coral reef is in peril. But Australia's new government says that it has already addressed several of the report's concerns, including action on climate change.
We are back with something that has not happened in nearly 40 years. The world's largest active volcano, Mount Aloha, is erupting on Hawaii's Big Island.
Yeah, USGS officials say so far the flow of lava is contained to the summit area and communities nearby are not in immediate danger. But state officials warn that ashfall could impact flights to and from the Hawaiian Islands. Joining us now to discuss is Benjamin Andrews. He's the director of the Global Volcanism Program, Department of Mineral Sciences at the National Museum of Natural History, Smithsonian Institution. Benjamin, good morning. Thanks for joining us on this. So the last time Mount Aloha erupted was in 1984, 38 years ago. Now, USGS says the volcano's longest quiet period in recorded history was this one right now. So explain to us what is happening and what triggered this eruption after so long.
Sure. Thanks for having me this morning. So magma has been forcing its way or coming into the base of Mauna Loa for many months, many years, probably longer than that even. And it was first detected about 6 weeks ago, 6 or 7 weeks in early October. And that magma, as it rises up, has been making little earthquakes and also swelling or inflating the island a very tiny bit. And that magma now finally made its way to the surface just about 48 hours ago.
So, Benjamin, I mean, right now, officials in Hawaii say this volcanic activity does not pose a threat to nearby communities. Could that change? I mean, how unpredictable could this volcano be?
That's right. So right now, the eruption is making lava flows, and the last reports I saw is that the lava flows are 10 or more miles away from the Saddle Road. That's the main road that crosses the middle of the Big Island. And so there's not a danger from lava flows right now, and that could always change. But right now, there does not seem to be any danger from lava flows. Instead, there is some danger from ash, and volcanic ash is little bits of frozen magma. It's not fireplace ash. It's bits of rock and glass and crystals, and it doesn't take very much ash in the air to make a problem for aircraft engines. And so I think yesterday there were several flights from Southwest Airlines that were canceled as a precautionary measure, and that could happen moving forward, that flights are canceled or not. I want to be careful what I'm saying here. The other part is that ashfall can pose a threat to people if you breathe it in or if it lands on your roof. And so that is something that people in Hawaii will be watching for in the coming eruption.
Benjamin, another question I have is this something that people need to watch for? I mean, this is just one of several volcanoes on Hawaii's Big Island. Could this latest eruption and activity trigger more volcanic activity there?
That's a great question, and probably not. So right now, there's another volcano is still erupting, at least last I checked. Kilauea volcano is still erupting as we speak. And so there are 2 volcanoes presently erupting on the Big Island, but their plumbing systems are disconnected enough that it's not like one starts to erupt and that makes another one erupt or another one erupt or another one erupt. Instead, they seem to be largely disconnected. So the fact that Mauna Loa is erupting right now should not trigger any additional eruptions elsewhere on the Big Island.
Benjamin, just for you, I mean, this is your area of expertise. This has not happened in a long time. What are the things you're watching out for and most fascinated by?
One of the things that I'm interested in is once there are samples have been collected from the eruption is to see how fast the magma came up. Did the magma ascend those last 3 or 4 miles from the storage at depth up to the surface where it erupted? Did it come up in a few hours, or was it a few weeks that it took to come up? Another thing I'd be interested in looking at are the lava flows themselves. As those lava flows are moving along, how thick are they, and how broad are they, and how fast are they moving? And those are all questions that our USGS colleagues are monitoring and investigating right now.
Benjamin Andrews, thank you so much. Fascinating conversation and fascinating to watch these pictures play out. We appreciate you walking us through it.
Thank you very much.
Back now with financial headlines, starting with Elon Musk's claims that Apple is threatening to remove Twitter from the App Store.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with this and more financial headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning to you. Well, Elon Musk is taking on Apple. In a series of tweets on Monday, Musk claimed that Apple had threatened to remove Twitter from the App Store as part of its app review process. Musk criticized the tech giant for what he called censorship and also claimed that Apple has pulled most of its advertising from Twitter. Now, this comes as Musk has reportedly downsized Twitter's content moderation workforce. Apple has previously removed apps about concerns over their moderation practices. Back in 2021, Apple booted Parler, that's a smaller Twitter competitor, because of violent content on the platform. Cryptocurrency lender BlockFi filing for bankruptcy on Monday, the latest casualty in the collapse of crypto exchange FTX. The New Jersey-based company had already halted withdrawals of customer deposits and admitted that it had significant exposure to the now bankrupt FTX. BlockFi isn't the first crypto lender to file for bankruptcy this year. Two of its rivals, Celsius Network and Voyager Digital, collapsed over the summer following a crash in the spring when the value of many high-profile cryptocurrencies plummeted. And retailers are on track for a record Cyber Monday. Despite inflation, it's expected to remain the year's biggest online shopping day and could rake in up to $11.6 billion in sales. Now, that's according to one preliminary estimate by Adobe Analytics. Adobe's estimate predicts an 8.5% increase from what consumers spent on Cyber Monday last year. For Cyber Week as a whole, those 5 days from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, Adobe expects online shopping to generate about $35 billion this year, guys. I did not do any shopping yesterday.
I didn't either. I said that, and I kind of can't believe it, but I didn't.
Same. I was very proud of myself.
You still have time. Silvana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, so forget Black Friday or Cyber Monday. If you're looking for deals for your next getaway, today is your day. Travel Tuesday.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about this. Consumer travel expert Lindsay Schwimmer joins us now with some tips. Lindsay, good morning. So what kind of deals are we talking about here that we could see today?
Today is Travel Deal Tuesday, which is the best day of the post-holiday shopping period to score travel deals. So our team at Hopper analyzed historical pricing data and found that the Tuesday following Thanksgiving consistently has the highest volume of travel deals in this post-shopping period. So that's 50% higher than Black Friday and 30% higher than Cyber Monday. So we're seeing deals across flights, hotels, rental cars, and homes. So if you're looking for a trip for 2023, today is going to be the day to book it.
So let's dream big here. What are some examples of dream vacations that are going to be discounted?
On the Hopper app, we have 60 popular domestic and international destinations discounted today. Dream bucket list destinations like Bali, Santorini, Tokyo, Rome. Wow. So if you're eyeing one of those bigger bucket list destinations, check out the Hopper app because we have some really deep discounts up to $100 off flights.
And then what about when you're actually headed somewhere? If you want to include in sort of your decision-making, your calculations here about the bang for your buck that you get once you get somewhere, anywhere in particular we should keep in mind?
Definitely keep an eye on those international destinations. We're seeing $100 off flights to Tokyo, Rome, Bali, 50% off hotels in some popular destinations, $150 off rental homes if you book in the Miami area. So if you're eyeing a warm destination, I'm here in the East Coast, so I know I'm keeping my eye on Miami for this winter.
Oh, yeah.
So if you do find that dream vacation, whether it's Miami or overseas or whatever it is, and you think, I think this is a good deal, how do you actually make sure you're getting the best deal?
So if you plug into the destination into the Hopper app today, we'll alert you as soon as a good deal becomes available. So make sure you're using a price monitoring tool like the Hopper app so you can find the best discounts.
Awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much. So great to have these tips.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, it is time now for our weekly mental health check-in, and today we are talking about hangxiety.
That's right. That's the anxiety that comes along with a hangover following a night of holiday cheer, especially this time of year. So we've got tips on how to ease those symptoms, also virtual reality and mental health. We're taking a look at how gaming could maybe actually help your well-being.
Well, let's bring in Dr. George James to walk us through these headlines. He is a licensed therapist and the Chief Innovation Officer at Council for Relationships. Dr. James, always good to have you with us. So let's start with those dreaded hangovers. So walk us through what hangxiety means. Why is it people experience anxiety after a night of drinking? Is there anything you can do to try and calm those feelings?
Well, good morning, Joe and Savannah. And, you know, lots of people drink and get to the place where they have too much of a good night. And when they have that, they can start to worry about, what was my experience? Did I do something silly or overwhelming? Or did I make a fool of myself? And they can start to become anxious about that. I mean, the number one thing I would say to people is to pay attention to how much you drink and to maybe limit some of those drinks. Two, maybe have a friend or buddy that you can be there with that can help you from maybe doing those super embarrassing things. And overall, maybe just know your drinking habits to know, like, maybe you're not that type of person when you get drunk. So you can remind yourself, I didn't go too far last night.
Some good tips there. Maybe harder to follow than other times of year, you know, when we're all up to these holiday parties and stuff. But it's true. I think we've all experienced that for sure. Now I want to ask about that other thing I just mentioned, virtual reality and potentially this mental health support. So it's actually a peer-led app. It warns it's not necessarily an alternative to therapy, but it's called Inner World, and it has received grant money to carry out its research. Now, how are they going about this process, and how can a VR app help someone with their mental health?
You know, when we think about virtual reality and anything really, when we think about technology, I think that's going to lead the space when we think about helping folks with mental health. I think that we're going to see more things like this. We've already seen it text-based and technology-based, so virtual reality makes sense. And I think what it's trying to do is get people in a state of maybe where they can feel and experience whatever they might be going through. Sometimes it could be things that maybe that they're afraid of, or how to deal with it, or get skills and that might be helpful for them to overcome whatever the challenges may be. And with virtual reality, you can eventually start to feel like you are really in that situation. So I think there could be some promise there, and hopefully with more trials and more testing, we can get to a really good result.
Doctor, let's talk about a potential mental health breakthrough in professional sports. This is the WNBA. They're considering adding a mental health designation to the official injury report. That would allow players to sit out if they're not feeling mentally fit. I mean, what do you make of this? Is this something you think more leagues should be considering?
I think it's actually great that that this is happening. The NBA and WNBA has actually been kind of in the forefront of thinking about mental health and how does it impact its players and so forth. And so being able to say that mental health can really affect someone's ability to play. We've seen this throughout sports, more so in the past year. So being able to say, not that I'm not feeling well, but that I'm maybe overly anxious at this moment or depressed in a way that it's going to impact my ability to step on the court. And so being able to do that, maybe other leagues and other sports will take aware of this and be able to use it. So I think it's great that they're saying that mental health is just as important as physical health, and it should be on the injury report.
All right, Dr. George James, some interesting topics as always. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. History has been made in Forbes' latest 30 Under 30 issue. Megan Thee Stallion is the first black woman to appear on the cover. The magazine reports the Grammy-winning rapper made $13 million in 2022 through ticket sales, merch, and endorsements. In her interview, she said she has yet to make a, quote, crazy, stupid purchase. Aside from jewelry and her house, her top priority was paying for school. school. She said the most important thing was to learn about how to make your money work for you. She added that music is just one stop in her career. She's excited to get into acting after making a number of TV cameos and working on a film. She is a force. No surprise there, right, Savannah?
Yeah, exactly. Totally. A great word for her. That's so cool to see. Thanks, Joe. Now, one New York police officer may have missed his calling to be a doctor, and that's because he's delivered 5 babies over the last 9 years.
Yet another person safely bring their bundle of joy into the world. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson has that story.
Around the police station, they call him the baby whisperer.
5 babies in 9 years. Yeah.
Stork would be appropriate, too.
As soon as he said the baby, she's starting to push. I knew that this sounds like something I've heard before.
Saturday, Sergeant John Eric Negron and 3 colleagues assisted Long Island's Rebecca Reyes as she delivered son Owen at home, 6 pounds and a few ounces, the 5th child Negron's helped bring into the world.
I just kind of took the approach as like a coach in this situation. The first 4, I was there by myself doing it like these guys were. And I said, let me, supervise and do what I can.
In 2017, the 9-year veteran delivered the first child. That baby wasn't breathing. Negron used a turkey baster to suck out the fluid in his throat. Today, Negron is the child's godfather.
People told me that I looked white after the first time I delivered a baby. And we just sat around the house for a minute and just kind of regrouped our thoughts.
37 years old, Negron has no children of his own, but plenty of experience welcoming others to this world.
I thought that my childbirth days were over when I became a sergeant this year, and I guess the record lives on, so we'll see how many we could take it to.
In a job that can be so trying, a moment of pride for a bundle of joy. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
We'll see how many we can take it to. So it sounds like he's keeping an eye out for any more out there.
Exactly. He's ready to jump in.
All right. Great to see that. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.